Hey, so what I want to do is cover the crypto market, because there's been a lot going on, and it's thrown a lot of former uh, analysis in question. Starting with, I'm just gonna open up. I'm using Crypto Watch, and I'm just gonna open up a bunch of charts just to have ready. And basically, it's very useful to use a cross section of charts, not just one, because they all relate and they can all provide useful information um, when used together. So if there's something weird on one chart, it will probably suggest that there are implications for other charts. So that's why I want to use a spectrum of these things to do my analysis on. Okay? Hold on. Just I want to find the one more, the OMG chart. Here it is, and that's mostly it. So the most important one obviously is Bitcoin. On a long-term basis, I have this big triangle breakdown on a daily chart. And this was forecasting this major crash. And that can still happen. Um, that can still happen. It's just, in my mind, it's sort of like we broke above that breakdown trend line. Now that can still happen, um, but if we break above this, I am, that will be very strong, and that's a huge long situation. Right now is not, and right now is not. And because we broke above that, and right now it's also, you can't really short this because we've broken above. We have this head and shoulders that that is targeting like 6,800, like over, like I guess you could say a little higher, um, based on the measurement of the bottom, which is 57.55, to the neckline, that blue line, which roughly is at uh, that's like a 1010. So the breakout is at a little like 6,800 ish. That would project a target of around 7,900, which is which would be above this trend line. So, and that's a minimum. That doesn't mean that's just the target. So this could be a massive reversal, and I certainly have to be aware of that. Um, uh, so yeah, I think I'm not long right now. I think it's very likely what can happen is we can drop down to here before that, or drop here and everything collapses. Because this could be a big stop run or a short covering rally that doesn't sustain. I'm still considering that possibility. I was so sure about this crashing before, and this is definitely a situation where I learned that just because it's so likely, it doesn't mean it will happen, and certainly that's that kind of situation. This is going to be good support, this level, this trend line, and then if that breaks, we can fall back down here, and then we'll see what happens. We'd probably drop down, back up to the trend line, and then maybe we'd see what would happen. Am I getting anything from MACD or no on non-daily or volume? No on the daily. 12-hour, not really. If this was diverging, if I had divergence, that would be more of an indicator that we might short. But it wasn't. Not getting it on the 6-hour. Not necessarily helpful. We have declining volume, but we're not getting. It's not on new highs, so that doesn't necessarily mean anything. Yeah, the indicators aren't really telling me much. And just reading price action, we had an attempt higher, it failed, again it failed, and we're having again seeing some failure. This could mean that, and this could be pointing to another drop. And so reading this, reading like whether the bull attempts to take things higher are succeeding or not, can clue me in to what direction is going to be next. Okay. So I guess that's mostly it for Bitcoin. If we break down, obviously it would suggest and think things broke down further, what we likely see is huge moves down in a lot of the alts, and that could mean the bear market is continuing. So we'll have to see. The next several days are going to be very important in determining price over the next several months. So this is Ethereum, and what has me optimistic that we're gonna head lower and hopeful is we just got this head and shoulders. We just got that also in a lot of other alts. 3-day chart. Yeah, this trend line is very important, and that's where it bounced off of. Hope maybe this is just a bounce, and we're actually going to crash off it. I mean, on a long-term basis, it almost looks like we got up way above it, and we crashed down to it. This was the major bounce off it, and then we having like one more minor like attempts to bounce off of it before it just breaks through. That is certainly possible, and we have to consider that possibility right now. That's what's happening, and that we're forming some kind of like bear flag. I mean, that would be fucking phenomenal. We drop, if Bitcoin breaks 7,200, we drop back down here. That would probably correlate with 6,800 maybe, but at the rate alts are falling, by the time Bitcoin hit 6,800, this could have broken through, and that would suggest that Bitcoin is also broken down completely. So we'll see, but the head and shoulders is suggesting that that's what's going to happen. Okay. Hold on. I think having a little background music may be better for the video. Breathe the summer air, smells like home. Things I So that's a 2-hour chart though. Do I see anything helpful in terms of volume or MACD? Not really, no. So just, yeah, again, based on how big that drop was, another bounce at that trend line, somewhat makes sense. And then it broke out of this channel would probably mean that there's going to be some kind of continued bounce along with this support. But now that that's happened, it's very possible we may break through now. So we'll see. This is certainly a very difficult trading situation, and a lot of patience is required to profit off this because you know, I got hurt a bit putting on too much size because I wasn't doing my analysis each day thoroughly, and so I didn't really consider possibly that we could have one bounce off this before a sell down, and I wasn't taking this inverse head and shoulders seriously enough. That was here, but we'll see. I mean, I think until this breaks, it's not shortable, but once this breaks in a very clear fashion, it will be fucking amazing. Okay, I want to look at the daily chart. That's a 12-hour. Nothing really helpful there on volume or MACD. And in terms of, I'm trying to find. I want to look more closely at these indicators, but the arrows staying large are very hard to deal with. So volume, anything helpful? I wouldn't say particularly, except maybe you could say this is declining volume. Like a little, the fact that this higher high but volume didn't really increase, which would be more bearish. It's not much. MACD on the daily isn't helpful. I don't see any divergence. On a 6-hour chart, you know, same thing. Nothing helpful in terms of MACD or volume, but similar thing. I have this head and shoulders. Hopefully that will play out. Because it is a lot better to play the short side, because on a sentiment basis it's really hard for me to understand how this mania that things are still in, we're gonna just zoom up, and if Bitcoin goes to like 8,000, that's more likely the situation. So you know, I think this is like the biggest bubble right now, and you know, it's very hard to buy it. But if that's what people are gonna do, and if that's what, you know, where the strength is, I have to trade that. Alright. Oh, hold on. Okay. And then a 4-hour chart. We did, I guess we did have, no, we didn't. There really hasn't been anything that helpful. So it seems like the information we have is the information we have. Um, if we saw like this having lower volume than here, that would be very helpful to know. But it doesn't seem like that's the case. So that's not encouraging for the bear side. Except this wedge, the distance from here to here is projecting quite a bit higher. So I don't know if that will happen, but that's something to watch for. All right. This is EOS. EOS hasn't actually broken this high, which is good for the bear side, but it did break back above this trend line, which is not good for the bear side. Starting on a daily chart. Yeah, again, this is like, you could say, the big trend line for the uptrend. And we need a clear break of that to go bearish. That seemed like it had happened, but it didn't hold. So we'll have to see. One possible bear side is this, that this is like a cup and handle reversal, and this is the handle forming. But we'll have to see. So on the daily, are these indicators like MACD? So, you know, daily chart, these indicators, is there anything? I mean, one thing that would have been helpful to know is on this low, I had a higher low in MACD, which is suggestive that this would be a bottom, of some kind. I didn't do my analysis on this, so I didn't see that, and as a result my decision making was less informed and worse and cost me. So it is important to do this every day because it builds up a cache of knowledge that you know, because also I'll keep forgetting if I don't what's going on, like even like little details, but those things are really important, they add up. And then sometimes I may wake up and I have to look at the charts instantly because there's some crazy move going on, and if I haven't built up that store of knowledge, I'm gonna be like, I'm not gonna know what's going on, or I'm gonna think I know and I'm not gonna know, and I'm gonna end up making a bad trade as a result. So, you know, we'll have to see if this breaks. I don't know at this point. Hour, nothing all that helpful. The indicators, nothing else I'm seeing on price action. This is Ethereum again. Yeah, I mean, what I don't want to see is more strength. Because that would mean we're heading back up if we break above, especially if we break above this high. And that can certainly happen because even though we have a head and shoulders, this is a huge pullback area where people would want to go long. So yeah, some people want to go short, but some people want to go long, and I guess I'm not really sure which side is going to be more important. Shit. On a 4-hour chart, am I seeing anything that helpful? No. Except this is again a possible higher low forming that could take us up to new highs. I don't want to see that because I'm not long. That's what's happening there. But yeah, we are seeing some strength come back in. A little bit. And I guess this is where it would be expected for that to come in. And this is BCH, Bitcoin Cash. We have this roll reversal. Like these prior tops is now where price is being roughly supported. So I have to go to a daily chart. Yeah, I mean on a daily chart we have a clear higher high. I mean, this kind of looks like this massive blow-off mania, a massive sell-off, and then a short covering rally bounce off, you could say, close to this support lows. Now that we've gotten close to there, we're getting another maybe bounce, but I think this would almost seem like this is going to be lower until it breaks through, but if this breaks higher, that would mean Bitcoin would break clearly above like 7,800, and that would be a major breakout. So we'll have to see. This is a very tenuous situation though, and what happens over the next several days is really important. So yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. I'm not getting really helpful information in volume or MACD. Well, at least nothing. I'm not getting anything bearish. It's just more on the bull side. And this is what's important to keep in mind, that they're both buyers and sellers, and it's not just, well, the pattern says this. This is where bears would do this, and this is where bulls would do it. And I could see from patterns which side may be stronger, but there are still going to be both sides to it. Especially in the crypto market, there's always going to be bulls. You know, it's just it's just a market where, you know, it's almost like everybody's bullish. So but if this breaks a bit lower, we'll have a head and shoulder, especially if this breaks down below this though. We almost did, we didn't yet. I would really love to see that happen. One major clue that this next move would happen is that you got this first strong move that's usually followed by a second strong move, and not a third strong move. And that's probably one of the reasons why we got this good sell. And also, this head and shoulders was fully negated with this also small head and shoulders that broke back above the neckline. Those were clear signs that we were susceptible to a huge move up. You know, I was considering that, but I didn't think it through enough, and that's also what's important, to think things through. So when you look at possibilities, you have to look at, okay, this could be possible and this are the two most likely situations. If this happens, you know, if that happens, what will the consequence be? What would I lose on that? What would my risk be? What could I lose, and what would that loss mean to me? And if I gain, what can I gain from that? What would that gain mean for me? If I'm very over leveraged, this could be a massive blow, and if this could be a massive win. But is this good enough to counteract that? Maybe not. And if it's more likely that maybe this is going to happen, like a 60% versus a 33% chance, I have to bet that this will happen and then cover my short. Okay. Where versus just thinking, well, I'm over leveraged, but I don't want to get out because I may miss this. Thinking that way is basically a way to lose money overall. This is not good to do. Okay. So anything else? I guess nothing else that I can really use except MACD's back at the watermark, which could mean that we've pulled back enough for another move up, which would suck. Sure. Okay. This is Litecoin. And on a daily chart, we have this big triangle that we broke down from, and we broke out from this, the declining trend line. Yeah, we broke down from it, but I guess this is a huge thing to break down from, and for this to just head back up, that's so unusual. Because if this goes back and retests the breakout area, that would also mean Bitcoin breaks through, which would basically mean this would also likely break out. I mean, it's very hard to see how this is happening in terms of a total negation, apart from just like a big rally. We do have a higher high. It's possible this is a bear flag. I don't know if this is so, the movements are so steep that I have a hard time thinking of this as a bear flag. It's possible. So we'll have to see. But we do have a good reversal daily candle here that would be indicative of we're gonna head down at least for a few days. Okay. Volume is not helpful, really. Yeah, again, a very bearish sign would be if I had MACD like this lower than this high, but as prices rise, but that's not the case. 6 hour. I mean, I'm starting to see more strength come in, which makes sense in these areas, but it's like a concern because I'm not long. This is Ripple, also a head and shoulders, but is this going to negate the head and shoulders and just blow through. This is a Ripple daily chart. So we have this support trend line that we kind of broke down below, and we're testing it again strongly. And so obviously if this head and shoulders doesn't follow through that we have here, that will have completely broken back up above it, and that will be strongly bullish. So I think it's sort of like a make or break type of situation, because if this breaks through and then on a higher move, that will take Bitcoin through 7,800, and you know, just at that point the bear scenario is pretty much dead for a while. So I mean, there's a lot of there's just a lot of, you know, a lot riding on what happens over the next couple days. Okay. Yeah, and at this bottom you had all these head and shoulders and a lot of different things. That was a clear sign that this could happen, and it happened also in April, and I didn't. Now that I've seen this kind of thing a couple times, I'm definitely gonna be watching out whenever this happens at local bottoms. Lesson learned, definitely. This could be more of a bear flag just because the angle is not very steep. So I'll have to watch for that also. This is Ethereum Classic. We have another head and shoulders forming up here, but let me zoom out to the larger time frames. Yeah, you could say this is like a big head and shoulders that formed up here, or like another one on a daily chart, where like this is a shoulder, big head, shoulder, and this is just pulling back before we get a slam down. But you know, this is back above the neckline, so it's hard to tell. It's possible we have another head and shoulders here, and one benefit is that we do have declining volume on this high here, compared to this. But in terms of this hasn't reached a new high, so it's hard to say. Like this, I don't think this is that important yet, volume readings. So you know, if this breaks that high, this will not be like what a possible head and shoulder that's forming. I think I have to use a lot more price action to look, because you know, MACD and volume readings are not all that indicative of bear patterns. So you know, so we did have that head and shoulders. We haven't had the breakdown yet, so we'll have to see if that actually happens. Um, so. ADA, I don't even know what currency this is. But certainly this is on a daily chart, a new high, a higher high. This is obviously extremely bullish. Oh god. Volume, MACD, none of this stuff is really indicative that this is, you know, not sustainable. And so other people are going to see that. Is it possible that we have a high and then a high here, a reversal top, a lower low, a lower high, and then we're going to head down and head and shoulders this? Yeah, that's possible. This stuff is all possible. We have to see though. I mean, I'm going to go to sleep in a couple hours, and when I wake up, I'll probably see what's going on. So XLM, I'm not sure what XLM is either, but I know it's a crypto, and there's so much correlation that you can really just use all of them to analyze each other. This is a 2-hour chart. Certainly you got a high here, failure to make a new high, and let's see if this fails again, because some people are selling this down. We'll see if it's strong enough. These are the people taking it up, and so we'll see if those sellers are able to withstand this. And I think that's about all I can do, is just wait to see. But you know, this was a huge move. So tricks did lower low this, and this low here would suggest that we're heading back down, but we'll see. We got a little divergence with MACD on this high, which could have been helpful to know. And we do have on daily this big reversal candle, which would suggest that this is a top, local top. We'll have to see though. Oh shit. See, prices are creeping up. I just don't want to see that. This is Neo. We have a potential head and shoulders here, but we haven't necessarily seen that happen. So I'm gonna have to watch this and see. Daily chart. You could say, yeah, that we have this big roll reversal support area, and we kind of re-hit it, but haven't broken above it, which keeps the bear case on, I guess you could say. It's here, that top, you could say this bottom, this bottom, this bottom, that top. So we'll have to, I'll draw a line, a horizontal, and it'll just remind me that it's important when if we get there. Okay, so something along those lines. And again, it is important to look at all the time frames, because there is information on some of them that might not be easily visible on others. Not always, but sometimes, and knowing that can affect my decisions. Okay. And certainly seeing Bollinger Bands close or something on daily can really affect my decisions. This is Zeke. Zcash. Zcash broke above this major trend line, but it didn't, and it didn't clearly break above this high. But we also have a reversal candle. We'll have to see, because this could have just been like a, a stop run. We'll have to see if this actually is going to sustain. But certainly, so long as this is above that trend line, it's going to be hard to actually short this. Okay. So that's what this trend line is based on. You could say this is a head and shoulders. And head and shoulders, the neckline doesn't always hold in the pullback. You could have, people who taught me would often say, like, you have a head and shoulders, a breakdown, kick you in the face, and then, and this move has certainly kicked me in the face. It's the flaw of people who take this neckline so literally that they don't consider the possibility that this will pull back a bit more and do like a normal fib pullback, where there's going to be a lot more shorts before things head down. So that's what I'm looking at right now on Zcash. Monero. Monero has broken that down from this massive triangle, and it's so hard for me to believe that this breakdown will like literally just be easily negated. But Bitcoin's moves would suggest that would happen. It's just when I look at all these things, it's just, oh, it's very hard to trade that. I can't go long in this situation. Until Bitcoin breaks very clearly through the upper side of its triangle, and these start doing that as well. So this could be just like bulls fighting for this. And once it's clear, I'll be able to, to trade this, but it's not clear right now. Okay. I'm just trying to widen this. We do have lower volume on this high in Monero than this high, which is more suggestive that this is a bear flag. And this certainly has the slight angle necessary for a bear flag. Okay. So lower volume as price is rising. That's very bearish. Hopefully that holds, but we'll see. I mean, this is a ridiculous situation. This is iota. Iota, head and shouldered, and is much more clearly breaking down. Iota is possibly in a triangle of its own. Iota is possibly a triangle of its own here. And when I go to the daily, yeah, this is also a, you could say like a breakdown from that high and you know what, I actually never drew that triangle, so I didn't really look at it as strongly as a triangle, but it is. Yeah, and it's how, like, I think this looks like more like this was a big stop hunt in Bitcoin, and not much else. So we'll have to see. Okay. But we'll find out in the next few days. Anything helpful on shorter term charts? Not really in terms of volume or MACD. Did that have 4-hour divergence on MACD? No. I do have a Bollinger Band digging into. Oh, but they just opened up. Okay. So maybe the downside is more likely to happen now that Bollinger Band has happened up. With Dash, I have what could be like a triple, quadruple top, like a head and shoulders. And is Dash on a long-term chart. You could say this is like a head and shoulders, head or shoulder, head, shoulder. This hasn't negated this at all, which makes me think the Bitcoin move was just a big fucking stop hunt that, you know, kicked me in the face. Like a big short covering kick you in the face. Okay. And I guess probably this giant move in Dash was a good sign that this could happen. So I should have given that more credence and then also look collectively at things to see. I just didn't think that big kind of stop hunt Bitcoin was likely because we had already retested the breakdown, more or less. This is actually a true retest though, because we actually hit 7,200 and even went over it a bit. So we'll have to see. Okay. This is OMG. And we have a clear lower low in OMG. Promising. And on OMG, we don't really have anything that helpful in volume in MACD, from what I can tell. But we also have no higher high, which is certainly not bullish. So yeah, again, at this low there was divergence in MACD. That would have been helpful. I should have kept that in mind more. And then ELF, I don't really look at ELF much, but potential head and shoulders, yes. Potential big daily reversal, yeah. And because the higher high wasn't that steeply higher high, we have a potential bear flag. And I probably should have I should have looked at this as, because we hit the prior low, there was likely to be a big bounce, or likely to be like people would close their or we had hit the lows here again, and what's it called? By getting close to the lows, it was possible that we could have a higher low. Because with this higher high, that would mean a lot of people would come in to buy this at a higher low, and that's certainly what happened. We certainly have a bear flag potentially, so I don't have enough data on this to know like what pattern it is on a long-term basis, but on a shorter-term basis we certainly could have this type of situation, okay? And that's it. I mean, that it is important to do analysis like that very thoroughly, to have a good process in place so that I have all the I get as much information as possible, and correct information, up to date information, so that it keeps reminding me of what's going on, and that I keep finding things each day that I may have missed before. Yeah, I mean, this to me, like, maybe I didn't see this, for example, till just now. Let's go. What is this? That seems to be in play. Like this retested, maybe another one, and then down. So we'll have to see. Yeah. Okay. And MetaTrader, I don't really use all the, because there's a lot of missing data and prices, so it can't really use this for trading, for like long-term analysis, but I can for just seeing like a lot of things easily at once in terms of short-term price action. So, and even that can be a little off. So it's important I use Crypto Watch, even though it's a pain in the ass. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching.